record. All right, we are recording. So good morning, Olympic. Thank you, Olympic and Alliance. Thank you so much for being here today. We're super excited to have this guest speakers for you today. We have a great lineup for you today. We have three speakers, Jesse Perales, Martine Espinoza Jr., and Clayton Walton. They're all going to talk to you about what they do and their roles in their trade and in their union. And this presentation is being recorded, so we will upload it to our database and send your teacher the link. So if you want to rewatch it, please add any questions that you have for our guests in the chat box. They might ask you at a certain point if there's any questions, but if something comes up while they're talking so that you don't forget, throw it in the chat box and I will do my best to make sure that I see those pop up, as will your teachers, and they can always say, hey, we saw one in there. So, all right, without further ado, for everybody's time, I'm gonna hand it over to, I think Jesse's gonna start. So go ahead, the floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, everyone. We hope we have an exciting program here for you guys today. My name is Jesse Perales. I am a representative for the Carpenters Local 152 here in Contra Costa County, which out of the 46 counties that we do cover for the Northern California Carpenters Regional Council. Now, when I first graduated from high school, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. I grew up the son of a union laborer, so my dad worked as a landscaper, working out in the sun, but growing up in my early teens, I didn't like working in the sun. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give college a chance. I tried to go into college, I did about a year and a half or so, turned out I didn't like sitting behind the desk, working with my hands. Back in 1992, and I know what a lot of you guys are thinking, you know, that was back in the Stone Age, you know, 92, a lot of you definitely weren't born. But my dad was making about $23 an hour, which was pretty good back in the day. You know, when I started in 97 as a carpenter, I did acoustical ceilings. I'm actually on the job site right now at the Veterans Hospital here in Martinez. I'm looking at these painted walls and I'm like ready to go to work, because once trade was acoustical, we see painted walls, we're ready to go to work. Back in 97 when I started, I was making about $10.80 an hour. Apprentice that comes in with no experience, starting pay is $31.59. You know, and that's with no experience. All you got to do is, I believe my brother Clayton will get into this. It's a 9-week boot camp to get into the pre-apprenticeship. You know, I never worked in the sun. That's why I decided to work indoors. Carpenter allowed me to do that. There's many different crafts within the carpenters. Which, you know, we have concrete, we have acoustical, we have scaffold. You know, I'll let my brother Clayton go on that. But, you know, if it's over 75 degrees outside, you always going to have a rough. So after a few years out of high school, I did join the union. Let me see here, kind of lost track, you know, cold in here. After working for almost 18 years as an acoustical ceiling installer, I decided to become an organizer by going to my unions. It opens up a lot for you as a member. You know, so I was a rank and file member. So I started working for the Carpenters. I accepted to be an organizer. I went to a lot of non-union job sites, tried to get some you know, future members. And then after about a year, I became a field rep. So I would go to a lot of these union job sites, kind of like this, talk to our brothers and sisters out there. And I did that for about 3 years. And I'm actually the marketer and political director of Contra Costa County. And like I said earlier, you know, I didn't like college because I was sitting behind a desk. Now I sit about 8-9 hours behind a desk every day. So what goes around goes around. So it's fun work. I like what I do. I never thought I'd be doing what I am doing, you know, being a marketer. You know, I do track jobs, track big jobs. You know, Martine would probably get into that too. You know, he's a fellow pile driver himself, and he also keeps track of all the work going on. We go to bid openings. It's been a lot of fun. I've been doing this job for about 6 years. I've been in the union for about 24 years. So it's done many things for us. It's great pay. Right now, a journeyman carpenter makes about makes $52.65. So it's great work, gives you great opportunity, get to travel a lot. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to my brother Martine.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Martine Espinoza. I'm a field representative for the Carpenters and the Pile Drivers Local 34 out here in Oakland, California. We cover 46 counties, so we cover all of Northern California and one local. So we got 4 reps that work out of this hall. So we're always traveling, we're always on the road. But I'll give you a quick little story about myself, how I got into the union. Not everybody's journey is the same, like Jesse. So my journey was a little different. After high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went to junior college for criminal justice. And I kind of liked it. You know, I liked taking the classes and stuff. So I decided to join the Post Police Academy. I did really well. I was able to acquire a sponsor to sponsor me in as a cadet. And I went to work for the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Department as a sheriff after I graduated the Post Academy. I did that for about 2.5, almost 3 years, and decided that it really wasn't what I like to do. So, I mean, it was a great job, great paying job, but it just wasn't something that I wanted to do long term. So luckily my father was in the union. So I'm a second generation pile driver, and he kind of put me on to the trades. And he said, you know, why don't you give the pile drivers a chance and maybe try their apprenticeship program? So I did. I went over to the local and signed up. I was able to get a sponsorship letter with the contractor. I joined the apprenticeship program, and now I've been in for almost 10 years. Um, Throughout my career in the field, I primarily worked on bridges. So I got to work on big overpasses over the freeways. I got to work on the Bay Bridge project. I got to work on bridges all over the valley, down in Fresno, Bakersfield. So I built bridges all over the state of California. So it was really cool. I get to drive down the highway now and get to point out all the different bridges that I've built in the past. So over that career, I kind of ventured off into organizing, and now I'm a field rep. So now I do things like this, get to get on Zoom calls or in-person career fairs and get to meet young individuals like yourself and kind of find those individuals that don't know what they want to do, right? You guys are at a fork in your life where you don't know if you want to go to college or if you want to do a trade school. So I kind of help guide those individuals that aren't sure what they want to do. So I take great pride in bringing in new members every month into the union, and I see how it changes their lives firsthand. Like Jesse touched on, we offer really competitive rates, rates that'll be able to, you can be a homeowner in your mid-20s, right? Stuff that you thought weren't possible, the union can provide for you. We have a great retirement plan. I know you guys don't care about retirement right now, and you shouldn't, but the union will give you a great retirement plan. And as you progress in your apprenticeship program, we're here to kind of help you guys in understanding their retirements and stuff like that, but I won't get too much into that. And then for us, the easiest way to become a member at a local 34 is through a sponsorship letter. So what we have individuals come into the hall, we have a list of our contractors that you guys can go solicit a sponsorship letter with. We kind of walk you through the process and how to do it. And all it is a letter saying that they're going to sponsor you into the apprenticeship program through the pile drivers. You'll get direct entry, so you won't have to wait on the waiting list. You'll go do your orientation, and then we'll dispatch you out to the project. And like you said, you're going to start off as a first period apprentice, which is at $31.14 for the pile drivers. And then every 6 months, you're going to get a raise. So you're going to go from $31 to $33 to $36 to $38. So you're increasing very quickly throughout your apprenticeship program. It's a 4-year program, so it's the alternative to college. You're still going to be going to school, but now you're going to earn while you learn. And it's tuition free, so you're not going to have to pay any tuition. That's a very important thing. So you're going to be making money and not getting into any type of student loan debt. And you're going to get a very, very good education that's going to set you up for future and for success. Quick thing about what the pile drivers do. So if you guys are ever driving down a highway and you hear a big loud thump, ka-tink, 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 and you look over and you see a big crane, what they're doing is they're driving pilings into the ground, into the foundation. So anytime you're going to build any type of structure that's going to go up, you got to get that foundation nice and sturdy. You can't just build a house or a high rise on dirt, right? You got to secure that foundation, especially in our area where we live. We're susceptible for earthquakes. So we got to drive those pilings all the way down to bedrock. That can be 30 feet, 40 feet, or it could be over 300 feet. So we'll drive pilings all the way down bedrock. That can be in the ocean, in a river, on land. It doesn't matter. We're going to drive the piles wherever they need to be driven. So that's one of the things we do here with the pile drivers. The other thing you're going to do with us is welders. We account for most of the certified welders through the Carpenters Brotherhood. So if you're a member of Local 34, you're going to, at one point or another, you're going to have to acquire some type of weld cert. And we have state-of-the-art welding shops at our training centers. So welding is a big thing for the pile drivers. The other thing is like I mentioned before, we're the bridge builders. So the majority of our members at Local 34 are bridge builders. So you're going to get all that experience on doing concrete form work, doing the false work for the bridges. You're going to learn the ins and outs. And then the last thing is we account for all the certified commercial divers. So all the certified commercial divers that do work in Northern California are members of our local. Those are the guys and gals that get to go under the ocean or under the river and do the underwater construction. So that's a whole different ball game, but we also represent those members as well. So yeah, with Local 34, we got a big variety of different things you can touch on, and like I said, we cover 46 counties. So I got members that live up in Redding. I have members that live all the way down in Fresno or here in the Bay Area, and so you can live anywhere you want in the state of California and be a member of Local 34. And I have work in every county in the state of California, so. Be rest assured that you're always going to have work with Local 34, and we take care of our members. And like I said, there's a lot of opportunities to move up within the union. So there's foreman positions, superintendent positions. You can always become reps, kind of like what me and Jesse do, or Clay Thompson working with the apprenticeship. You can be a coordinator. You can be an instructor if teaching is what you like. Later on, when you journey out, you can get into the teaching and be one of our instructors at some of our training centers. So definitely a lot of room to grow within the union. But I'll pass it over to Clay so he can kind of touch on.
Somebody had a question in the chat about what made you become a pile driver. Was it because of your dad's recommendation or?
Yeah, so it was because of my dad said, give it a shot, it couldn't hurt, right? So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And sure enough, the first project I went on was with the company called MCM Construction. It was a bridge over here in Oakland, California. Major project. It was like an $80 million project. I didn't even know how to turn a chainsaw on, right? I knew how to do college work, and I was a cop. I knew how to shoot. I knew everything about becoming a sheriff. I didn't know anything about the tools. So it was a big learning experience.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can you?
And then before we go, Clayton or whoever's next, maybe we can just kind of describe or explain what an apprenticeship is. I don't know if Martine or if Clayton wants to do it in his presentation, just so the kids know. I mean, the whole concept of learn while you earn, I think, money talks. And so that'll give the kids some perspective on that.
Yeah, I'll definitely jump in and try to get a lot of information in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, hi everybody. Hello, my name's Clayton Walton. I work for the Carpenters Apprenticeship. Our official name is the Carpenters Training Committee for Northern California, or the Carpenters Training Trust Fund. Depends who you ask. So I've been a UBC member for around 23 years myself, and I'm working for the Carpenters Training Committee. So there's 4 schools throughout Northern California that are apprenticeship centers. There's one in Fairfield, there's one in Pleasanton, there's one in Morgan Hill, and there's one in Fresno. They all kind of do the same thing. So wherever you live, that training center, that's where you could go to. And it's a unified approach. You're going to get the same type of curriculum and the same type of teaching at all those schools. Right now we have about 6,000 apprentices enrolled throughout Northern California. And those apprentices learn 11 different crafts. You met a couple of them here today. Martine was a pile driver. Jesse was a carpenter. I was a drywall lather. So we got 3 different trades represented here, and there's 11 under the carpenters. I'm gonna put some things in the chat window as I talk so you guys have some information. If it works here. Okay, there we go. There's a list of the crafts right there. We're carpenters, acoustical installers, drywall lathers, hardwood floor layers, insulators, millmen and cabinet makers, millwrights, modular systems installers, pile drivers, scaffold erectors, and shinglers. So actually, you can see why we have 6,000 apprentices enrolled throughout Northern California. That's very unique to the other trades. What Martine did as a pile driver is completely different as what I did as a drywall lather. And what a millman does is, you know, high-end cabinetry and things like that. None of us here might not know how to do that. So as you can see, there's a lot of variables in there. Where for the most part, you go to school for 4 years. And you take about 16 to 18 classes. We're tuition free. So the contractors you work for pay into a training fund that pays for your education. If you were to pay for the education on your own, it's over $100,000 education. Remember, we're paying for the instructors. They're paying for all the material that you use in school, paying for the facilities and the administration staff that runs the school. So you don't pay anything to go to school. It's paid for by the contractors you work for. During those 4 years, you go to school twice a quarter. So you go to school once every 3 months, so 4 times a year. The class takes from 4 to 5 days, depending on the class. And right now, things are a little unique with distance learning and things, but usually classes run Monday through Thursday, 8 hours a day. What you do is you're out working for a contractor, you get a notice in the mail, it says, hey, you have school next month. You give that notice to your foreman on the job, and that foreman schedules you for a week off work while you go to school. And then you go right back to work. The idea is that you're going to learn skills during that week of school that you can take right and use on the job. There's a lot of different, depending on what type of craft you've chosen, will be depending on what type of learning you do. The classes that a pile driver would take would be completely different from the classes a carpenter or millman or drywall lather might take. A lot of overlap on the types of safety and things they do, but especially as you get up in your apprenticeship, you're going to learn a lot of the very technical aspects of that trade. So how you advance. Every 2 classes, 600 hours, and 6 months is how you advance. There's 8 levels of apprenticeship, and you kind of move up through those levels. So I'm going to post another, we've talked a little bit about the trades. I'm going to post a link. There is a YouTube video called One Trade, Many Crafts. And I'm going to post a link to that YouTube video in the chat. Or if you just forget about it, you could go to YouTube and search One Trade, Many Crafts, and it'll come up. It shows many of the crafts that are in that list right there, and you'll kind of get to see a snapshot of what does a millwright do, what does a pile driver do. So I'm just looking here in the chat, see if there's any questions. I can screen share and go over some of the finer points of apprenticeship, or if you know of specific things that people might want to know about apprenticeship and kind of how it works. You said earn while you learn. So and I touched on those 2 points. One of those being we're tuition for education. I should mention that you do get college credits while you're in the school. So by the time you graduate your 4 years of apprenticeship, you'll have 16 college units. You can go, we have an agreement with American River College. You can go and finish and get your AA or AS degree after apprenticeship school. And a lot of people do go on, and you're very close to that AA or AS degree. I should mention also, we do work with Mount Diablo Unified School District, and actually one of your graduates is now a second period apprentice. They came to the apprenticeship through Mount Diablo Unified School District and the wood shop that you guys have, and they are active second period apprentice now, and they're working and they're moving along, and so that's kind of cool. Something cool. I mean, they only graduated less than a year ago, and they're out working out in the field. And now a second period apprentice is probably in the neighborhood of making around $33, $34 an hour already. Plus, now that they're a second period apprentice, they're getting vacation pay, which is your vacation can be worth anywhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $6,000 a year vacation check for you. I want to post another link. I'm going to post a link in the website, in the chat. This is a link to our website. We have an applicant referral list. So at any time you want, 24 hours, 7 days a week, you can go online and fill out an application and get in our applicant referral list. That list is long, and if, like anything in life, if you wanted to just fill out the application and kind of wait for a call, that call might be a long ways away. There are ways to get to the top of that list. A couple things some of my union brothers here mentioned, things like getting a contractor referral. There are ways like going through a woodshop program like the person that works for us now did, and they got to the top of that list. So there are ways to get to the top of that list. If you filled it out today, you'd probably be I haven't looked at today, but anywhere from 800 to 1,000 people are in front of you also want to get into the trades. But like I said, there are ways to get to the top of that list through pre-apprenticeship programs and things like that. I did lose connection for a minute, so I'm not sure if they touched on pre-apprenticeship. Did anybody talk about that?
No. Do you partner with DVC with the DVC's pre-apprenticeship program, or which
Yes.
pre-apprenticeship program do you?
Yes, we do. We partner with Diablo Valley College and Mount Diablo Unified School District, both. But it's correct. They have a pathway to apprenticeship also. There's two types. There's a direct pathway bypassing our pre-apprenticeship, and there's a pathway to get priority access to our pre-apprenticeship. Basically, the difference is the programs that get direct entry they're going to be longer and more substantial, and they mirror our pre-apprenticeship. Because remember, if you get direct entry, you could literally sign up for apprenticeship that day, go down to your local union, make membership, and you might be walking out onto a commercial job the next morning. So we want the contractors and the Carpenters Training Committee want to make sure you're prepared to do that. With the that's why our 6 weeks of boot camp really prepares you to go onto a commercial job or any job for that matter. But with the skills in awareness and safety and even knowing your tools and knowing there are differences. Even if you've built in a shop environment, built tiny homes, there is a difference from going on the next day to a job where there's 2-story backhoes moving around and craneage and a lot of things going on that are different than a shop environment. But pre-apprenticeship, I can touch on that briefly if you want, what it is. So our pre-apprenticeship is a 6-week boot camp. When you get entry, in fact, the gentleman that came from Mount Diablo Unified School District went to pre-apprenticeship. Once they got in there, they were in there for 6 weeks. They do get a stipend for while they're in school. And when they graduate, they get to keep the tools they were issued on day one, which is a full set of carpenter tools, usually valued anywhere from $500 to $700. And the day they graduate pre-apprenticeship, they become an apprentice. And then they go down to their local union and make membership. I can share my own story too, but I would definitely want to get the information and the bulk of it out. I'm going to put 2 more links in there or 3 more links in the chat if you guys don't mind.
Totally. And then, go ahead.
Sorry.
So Martine had said that he had no experience when he first joined. Aside from, no experience, what type of personality or skill or what type of person do you think or would you be looking for to join the union in this trade?
That's a great question. There's a poster on the wall at one of our old training centers. It said the big 3. And what it was I can't remember who put it together, but it was your top 3 skills that you would want as getting into apprenticeship. And I also asked, I was at a meeting years ago and I asked 2 contractors there, what would make you want to hire an apprentice? And they were both, one was the CEO and one was the general superintendent of the company. And they both said, kind of echoed the same thing. And they're looking for someone that with a good attitude. They said that first. So that would be the first one. Second one is show up on time. And I would argue that if you have a good attitude, you're probably already going to show up on time, right? And thirdly, just to work hard. Really, a first period of friends, they don't expect you to have skills. And that's the good thing about this is you're going to go to school and learn those things, especially if you go through pre-apprenticeship. We have pre-apprentices come in that don't know how to read a tape measure. We also have pre-apprentices come in that are fairly, have actually been in the trades for a little bit, but are kind of doing it as a refresher, or even going through pre-apprenticeship to learn how to, like I said, to get on a commercial course. So I would say the skill set is, one is you want to like what you're doing. I would say if you're going to get into it for the money, hopefully the money will carry you through and you'll learn to like it later. But I would say if you like working with your hands, if that sounds like something fun to you, if it sounds like, because you move around to a lot of different job sites, you're not going to be in the same parking spot and same office every day. You're probably going to be going to, there are some exceptions to that rule. We have apprentices that were 4 years out at the Apple campus, you know, the big Apple spaceship that they built out there. But for the most part, I mean, I would guess that you're going to be anywhere from 3 to, 12 jobs a year. You might be, or even more if you're on smaller jobs. So you're going to be moving around the Bay Area. You're going to be doing different tasks. You're going to come across things, and you're going to look at it and you go, I've never done anything like this. But what you're going to do is take your core skills of building square, plumb, and level, and knowing how to use your tools, and knowing how you take the core skills you have and apply them to something brand new that you might be doing. It's always a little bit different. It can be a real challenge. I've worked on some jobs that to this day, I've been in the UBC for 33 years myself, and still remember jobs I was on as an apprentice out at places like the very first Intel building the very first Pentium processors, and going to a weird place they were building called Yahoo, and thinking what a funny name that was. So I would say that those 3 skills right there: good attitude, show up on time, work hard.
Yeah,
I
just
had a question in chat about, are there any trades for cars or relating to cars?
Did you say cars as in automotive?
Yep.
Yep, there is an automotive apprenticeship. That's perfect timing. I'm going to put another link in the chat here. It's to calapprenticeship.org. There are, as a list of all kinds of apprenticeships there. There's hundreds and hundreds of registered apprenticeships throughout the United States. I think it might even be closer to in the thousands for just about everything you can imagine. I looked at that list, and there's some odd ones on there. There's actually an apprentice glass eye maker. Who would have thought? But we have 11 different apprenticeships, no glass eye makers, and we don't cover automotive, but there is an automotive apprenticeship. Yes, there is.
Can you, all 3 of you, can you tell us what the coolest job site you've worked on is? I know you mentioned you were at Yahoo and Intel and stuff, but what's the coolest job site or project you've been on?
Martine, you want to start with that?
My favorite? Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead. Anybody.
So my favorite job is California Academy of Science. You know, got to work in there for about 8 to 9 months. I do recommend going to it. I had membership there so I could take my grandkids. There was a lot of high ceilings, working up about 35, 40 feet in the air. If I knew how to put a backdrop on my screen here, I have a picture of me on a lift that shows me up pretty high. In fact, when Martine starts talking, I'll try to work on that. But California Academy of Science is my favorite. I do always remember my first job I was at. It actually goes to my parents' house, and to this day, my granddaughter, every time we drive down that freeway, she goes, "Oh no, you're going to talk about that first job you were at." You know, so we all remember our first job. But for me, California Academy is my favorite. I was there when they were bringing in all the live animals, especially that albino alligator. So that would be my favorite. As Brother Martine talks right now, I'm actually going to step outside. I'm going to, you guys could see the video. I'm going to try to get a good view of outside. I wanted to be inside work because carpenters do about 65, 70% of the job, you know, from concrete form to the drywall, you know, the frame, you know, the metal studs, the wood frame, the acoustical ceilings, which this room is ready for. We do the doors and hardware, we do all the cabinets, the millwork. So there's quite a few, but that's all I got to say. And hopefully you'll get a good view. I'm going to try to carry everything out of here to go to my truck so you guys can see the outside of the building, where you'll see all the scaffolding that wraps around the building. That's another trade that we offer, is scaffolding. So I'll give it away to one of my brothers.
all right. I think, thank you, Jesse. One of the coolest projects I ever got to work on was the Bay Bridge out in San Francisco in the Bay. I mean, hundreds of feet in the air, walking on I-beams that are no more than 12 inches in thickness. Having the breeze kind of blow you left to right is kind of something I've never got to work on any other bridge project. Working out there on the bay, we built the bike path actually that hangs on the side of the bridge for all the bicyclists. So we got to construct that right on the side of the Bay Bridge. So that was a very neat project that I got to work on. And like Jesse says, I get to drive on all these bridges down the highway and, hey, I got to work on that job. Hey, I built that one. So it's really cool when you get to look back and see everything that you built throughout your career. And kind of just to echo on what the earlier question, the thing that I always look for when I get an apprentice to walk through my door is I kind of try to ingrain into their brain that this isn't a job anymore. This is your career. So moving forward, your mindset has to be this is my career moving forward. And if you have that mindset, everything else is going to fall into place. So the work ethic, the good attitude, all that stuff's just going to fall into place when you take your career seriously. And the contractors will notice that right away. They don't expect you guys to know how to lay out a whole building or how to find grade. They know you guys are apprentices and you're learning the trade as you go. But when they invest in you and sponsor you into the programs, they're investing in you and hoping that one day you're going to become a foreman or a superintendent or a project manager for their company to make them successful or more successful. So you got to go in with that mindset that, yeah, they invested their time and their money into me. So I'm going to put forward my best effort and see where it goes. And I can tell you that when you go into it with that great attitude and thinking this as more of your career now, the sky's the limit. You guys are you're gonna flourish. You're gonna do great in this trade. So I highly recommend it to anybody that really likes being in the outdoors, out in the elements, that loves working with their hands. Please come down and see us.
So I have before Jesse starts showing us the outside, I have a two-part question for any of you. One, you each keep calling each other brother, so you can explain to us why y'all keep calling each other brother, the union. And then can you also talk about how many women are in your trade, and do women do a great job in this trade and in this field?
I can answer part of that. One of the reasons is because we are the name of our organization is the United Brotherhood of Carpenters. And there is an organization within our Brotherhood, if you want to say that, called Sisters in the Brotherhood. And they are an organization that they lend support to each other. And they have, I've been to some of their events called like the Rosie Rally out up north a little bit. We have about, our apprenticeship is runs in the neighborhood about 7%. Females, they do great. I would, every time I've talked with a welding teacher, women make better welders than guys do. Maybe it's the patience, I don't know, but we've always been told that. So I know for us, they do. We work with lots of organizations that lend support, not only to females in the trade, but help have pathways to apprenticeship, like Tradeswomen Inc. and things like that, which is a nice, great organization. I see Jesse's out there. I was going to tell you about one of the jobs, one of my favorites, but I want to let you guys are a rare opportunity to get actually out there and see on the job, and he can kind of point us around a little bit.
Yeah, we have about 7 minutes left, so that's perfect. Go ahead, Jesse.
So going on the Sisters in the Brotherhood, we do offer, and I think Clay might know about this more, but once a year or every other year, they do go to different parts of the country. Working for the California or the Northern California Carpenters, you're not limited just to the 46 counties. Remember, I went on vacation to Hawaii. I decided to check in the Carpenters Union there, and they asked me what I did. I told them I did acoustical. They offered me a job to work the very next day. You know, they actually, I think they had like a 20-year agreement with the government with these big high-rise buildings to put acoustical ceilings. So you're not limited just to the 46 counties. You know, I think the coverage from all the way down south to Visalia, all the way up to the Oregon border, you know, and we even get into Tahoe, but had a chance to work in Florida. You got to be willing to travel. I remember when I lived in Oakland, I went to go work in Monterey for a few days. You know, it's, you know, like a 2.5 hour drive. You got to be willing to go to work. But yeah, I'm looking, got beautiful weather about an hour or so ago. it was raining like crazy about 20 miles west of here. But this is that one of our contractors did or is doing. You know, like I say, you can see the scaffold surrounding all the stair work. You know, they have a stair. So it's something different. I figure I'd be on location to do one of these maybe in the future, be able to do that. But we also have our International Training Center, which it's not center of the United States, but it is in Las Vegas. We're right next to the airport, you know, so we have easy access for any apprentices. And I think, Clay, you might be able to do this more, but there's a 30-year where if you're a 30-year apprentice, you can travel to the ITC Center in Vegas. All of it's paid for, room, airfare, the hotel. You stay on campus there. We actually own quite a few hotels right around the center. You know, obviously we're not that far away from the strip either, but you know, we'll talk about that more, you know, maybe another time.
What you said is completely correct, Jesse. That's correct, Jesse. I put a link to the website so you guys can take a look at the International Training Center. It's truly amazing. Several million square feet of shop space in there, including an underwater welding tank for pile drivers.
Yeah, and I'm going to share a quick story real quick with the sisters in the Brotherhood. This just happened last week. So I had a young lady that was working in a weld shop out in Modesto, California, out in the valley. She's doing fabrication work, so she's got a little bit of experience, but she's a certified welder. So she reaches out to us about trying, kind of one of these career fairs, about trying to get into the union. So fast forward till next week. If you're not familiar with the building out in San Francisco, the Millennium Tower, that tower that's leaning over. So the pile drivers are going to go in there and drive pilings around the outside of that building, 300 feet down to bedrock to try to get it from to stop leaning. They're also going to need certified welders because the piles are so long. They're going to have to be doing splicing and a lot of welding. So she got sponsored in with one of those contractors, and she's going to go do orientation for the apprenticeship this next week. As soon as she's done with that, she's going to get dispatched out to that mega project out there in the city to go weld on this Millennium Tower project. So, and like Clay touched on, some of our best certified welders are all women. So I don't know what it is, but they have the touch. They're amazing welders.
That attention to detail that women have. So ladies on the call, listen up. You'd fit in if you're interested. So we have about 4 minutes left. If you all want to share any last minute tips, if students have teachers, staff, if you have questions, I'm going to go ahead and let you all take it over.
Martine, it's funny you mentioned the Millennium because my dad worked with WebCore on the original job. So now we laugh every time it's on the news. I said, Dad, that's your fault.
Yeah, now the pile driver's got to go in there and fix it.
Now I'm going to tell him. I'm like, see, Dad, look what happened. He said you could roll a marble and it just went ding, crash. Yeah.
Ask him about California Science. WebCore was there too.
Yeah, he worked on that in the city, San Francisco City Hall job, and yeah, but that Millennium stuff. Every time we drive by it, I was like, "You guys messed up."
Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much. You know, I appreciate you all answering the call when I reached out to you. You guys were the very first ones to reach me back and say, yeah, we're totally in. So thank you so much. We love Olympic. We love the students at Olympic and Alliance. So we're super excited to be able to bring this presentation to them. Somebody just said, is it true that underwater welding jobs is one of the most dangerous jobs?
Yeah, I think all of construction is pretty dangerous, but to an extent, that's why you're going to get highly trained at the apprenticeship and on the job. So you're going to get all the training that you're going to need to be safe, and they're never going to put you out there to do something that they wouldn't do themselves, right? So everything that we do is all being monitored. Even when you're down in the water, we have someone talking to you via comms 24/7. So everything's always done the safe way.
Great custom, Wyatt. Thank you for participating.
Yeah. Very good job, you guys. Well, we have, like I said, just about a minute and a half left. Again, thank you so much, Jesse, Martine, Clayton. Thank you so much for being here with us. I've copied and pasted all the links that Clay shared in the chat box, and I will share that with all of our teachers and staff. And if any students have any questions or concerns and they, want more information, if they, want to talk directly with you, is it okay if they connect with me and I connect with you on that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome.
Um,
Thank you. We've got people in the chat box saying thank you. So thank you so much, everybody. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
guys.
I'm going to stop recording.